by a lot of people since zeolites are starting to become well known as the best way of safely, gently detoxing. So people are starting to ask the question, okay, so what's the best zeolite? And the two big companies on the scene of nano zeolites would be Touchstone, that makes a product called PBX, and Casiva, that makes a product called TRS. And so the question is, which is the best, PBX or TRS? And I hope to make that very clear in just a matter of minutes as to which one is the best, because there's a clear winner. So let's start looking at the two differences. Okay, so first of all, the one very important difference is that PBX is a natural zeolite and TRS is a lab-made synthetic zeolite. So all those people who try to avoid putting synthetics in their body, already you've got a very clear winner before you even start. So PBX is natural, TRS is synthetic. Now many of the distributors that sell TRS have denied it's synthetic, but that argument can no longer be held because the company itself has come out very clearly on their own website, and their chief science people are saying it's synthetic. So that argument's gone. So all their arguments for years that it is not synthetic, gone. Okay, so that's the first thing. So what is synthetic? One is natural. Okay, so the second thing is to do with size. So the smaller the size, the more powerful. Okay, because it gives more surface area and it exposes more of the cages, which are what grab on and hold on to the toxins. So the smaller, the more powerful. Now that's not just something I'm saying, that's generally accepted. The distributors for Casiva have been saying that for years. The smaller, the more powerful. Now they have a problem because they've been saying that for years because they were under the illusion that TRS was smaller than PBX. So they were claiming the size of 0.9 nanometers, whereas PBX were proving that their size was 1.7 nanometers. So their claim was theirs was about half the size of PBX, but they never proved it. They just made the claim. They do this a lot. They make claims without proof. So Touchstone gave the independent lab report proving their size. Casiva claimed theirs about half the size. They did that for years, and they used that as a big selling point because it was smaller, then it was more powerful. Okay, the problem is that they've been called on that misinformation and they've changed their position, and not just a little bit. Okay, they now don't give an average size anymore, and they're saying that their size is up to 250 nanometers. So from 0.9, less than 1, it's jumped up to 250. Okay, without an average anymore. No, they're not giving an average. Now anything over 100 is not even nano. Okay, so we currently don't know if their product is even nano because we don't know what percentage, if any, is below 100. Okay, so, and again, they're making this claim without proving it. Again, no lab report. This is just another claim. They've gone through 3 different claims. First of all, 0.9, and they were saying, I think it was from memory 30 to 80, and currently on their website, it's 10 to 250. And the average, they say, is somewhere in between that. They don't give an average. That's because it's not being tested. Okay, they haven't. If they had a proper lab report, they would know what the average was. So they either haven't had a proper lab report, which they haven't, or they have and they don't want to give that information, one or the other. Okay, so the size of TRS is much larger, and that's one of the key factors that make a zeolite more powerful. Okay, now my guess, now that they've had to admit that their size is much bigger, my guess is they've employed some scientists, and I'm guessing that they're going to claim that after years of saying smaller was better, which everyone agrees with, they're going to somehow come up with smaller is not as good. Actually, whatever the size theirs is actually the scientific best. That's what I think they're going to do, because they do this over and over. It's all marketing, no science. Touchstone backs everything up with science. Okay, so for example, one of the things that they like to say, they're very careful not to name PBX, but they use the general term of natural zeolites, and they say that natural zeolites are contaminated, hoping that you draw the conclusion that PBX is, but PBX isn't. PBX is clean. Okay, and we've got, again, lab reports that we can look at that show us just how clean PBX zeolite is. So it's very, very clean. So, and then the next thing they do, because they know that it's clean, is that they try and attack, oh, well, if it's clean, then they've used chemical processes, or they must have damaged the cage or something. They don't have any clue of how it's cleaned. They don't, and they've got no forget proof. They've got no proof, but they've got no basis to make claims about it being damaged. They just make these claims. They just say stuff without any evidence. So, okay, so go back. So first of all, their zeolite TRS is synthetic compared to natural. Secondly, they're a company that have made many false claims. If you want to trust a company that used to say it's 0.9 and now say they don't know the average size, but it's up to 250, you want to trust that company. That's up to you, but I would be looking for evidence of anything that they say, not just claims. But here is the killer. This one should knock it out of the park for you, okay? Because we have hundreds and hundreds of studies proving how effective zeolite is, okay? No question. Now, all of the studies that are done in animals and humans, all of them are with natural zeolite. They don't have a single study with TRS, however they've manufactured it. And by the way, they hide a lot of information about that, like where they get the zeolite from in the first place. There's a lot of information they won't disclose. But anyway, they do not have one safety study, not one. Now there is proof that synthetic zeolites don't necessarily behave the same way as natural zeolites, because there are certain zeolites that have been tested. Theirs hasn't, so we don't know. They don't know. There is no evidence. There are no studies. Does it harm people? We don't know. But what they do, this is how they get around that problem. They say that it's a synthetic, chemically identical to the natural, and therefore they can apply all the natural studies to their product. And that's what they do. They use all the studies done on natural zeolite, and they use those to show how effective their product is. But you can't do that. So hopefully you guys will know that a synthetic vitamin is not the same as a natural vitamin, even though it might be chemically identical. And chemists say they are. And I'm not a chemist, I have no reason to doubt them, okay? But even though they might be identical in every way that we can check, what we know for a fact is that they do not behave the same in the human body, okay? So a synthetic vitamin, instead of helping the body, will often damage the body. Now we could also talk about synthetic hormones. Synthetic hormones may be chemically identical. You might be able to make that case. And in fact, it has been made, and I'm sure it's true. However, there is a big difference between a synthetic hormone and a natural hormone. They behave differently in the body. We've done, there's been studies of recent on cannabis where they've created a synthetic version of cannabis, and it actually was harming people instead of helping them as the natural version was doing. Okay, so to claim something is chemically identical, synthetic version of the natural, and then to utilize or try and claim that all the studies on the natural version apply to your product is absolutely, well, you draw your own conclusions. I think it's an utter lie, a deception, a marketing sleight of hand. Okay, we're more used to seeing from big pharma than we are from natural companies, but that's what they're doing. So, okay. To summarize, first of all, TRS is synthetic, PBX is natural. Secondly, PBX is massively smaller and therefore more powerful. Thirdly, all the studies are done on the natural version of zeolite, none on TRS. None. Zero. They haven't got a study. What they're doing is using natural studies completely illegitimately, in my opinion. Now, to wrap it off, okay, because PBX is smaller, it's more powerful, and with PBX you get 60 mil for a little bit less than TRS provides 28 mil. Okay, so you're getting more than twice as much for literally less than you're paying for the half as much TRS, and each spray of PBX is more powerful. Now, PBX has a higher recommended dose. So if you use the recommended dose, you'll be detoxing for 18 hours a day instead of if you use the recommended dose of TRS just 12 hours a day, and you'll be doing it at a slightly higher dose. And in that situation, both bottles last a month, but a month of detoxing for 18 instead of 12 hours at a higher dose. Okay, so and many people don't use the full dose that's recommended. Many people use less. On top of that, PBX does a special offer for new customers where you can literally try it for less than $14, shipping free. So you can test it all out. So, in my opinion, it's a slam dunk. There's no question which is the best. And by the way, many of the biggest natural health advocates in the world recommend PBX. People like Erin Elizabeth from Health Nut News, people like Dr. Tenpenny, people like Dr. Circus, people like Larry Cook of Stop the Mandatory Vaccines, who's been deplatformed now, and many others recommend PBX. I don't know any big names that recommend TRS, and there's a reason for that too. So if you would like to try PBX, I'll put a link below this video, and you can try it for $13.84 free shipping and see for yourself what all the fuss is about. Thank you very much.